And so I've been thinking so much this week. I watched the Pope's apology. I've read lots of analysis on it. And I just go back to my own personal reaction when I heard him speak and feeling, there's nothing new. It's not big enough. It's not bold enough. Now, anyone who knows how the Catholic Church is organized will know that, in fact, it's pretty hard for the Pope to actually have authority or the power, believe it or not, to do something here, because the power in the Catholic Church lies with each diocese. And so even if Pope Francis offered a full-fledged, abundant apology, it's up to the diocese to determine, will we make repatriations? Though you would think his voice would have some influence in that. And I think that the places where I feel like it was missed opportunity wasn't informed by, let's take a whole new perspective, let's uncover something like Jesus would. We're in subtle things, like when abuse was named, sexual abuse wasn't named. And if you listen to the fine-tuning of the apology, a sense that we have to be careful to not say too much about the system and institutions. And then I try to reconcile that with, who doesn't love Pope Francis? He gave us his beautiful encyclical about the climate, and I want to say to myself, his people didn't write him the right speech, which might well be true. And then I want to tell you about the history of these apologies. So I think this is stuff we need to learn and be attentive to. It was in 1998 that the United Church made an apology to Indigenous peoples, and I'm going to read it for you, call it up on screen, and you can look at it. This was made by the late Very Reverend Bill Phipps, who was moderator at the time. To those individuals who were physically, sexually, and mentally abused as students at the Indian residential schools in which the United Church of Canada was involved, I offer you our most sincere apology. You did nothing wrong. You were and are the victims of evil. It was a bold statement. The United Church was responsible for just over 6% of the residential schools, the Catholic Church over 50%. We made an apology in 98. The Presbyterian Church has apologized. The Anglican Church of Canada has apologized. We have paid money from our endowments, $6.5 million from the United Church. Developed what's called a healing fund. I urge people to go to the United Church of Canada website, a beautiful fund that members have contributed millions to over the years. So we've tried to make repatriations, and 20-some years later, it feels like we're just beginning this work. And so I am of the mind that an apology is a first step. And I hold out hope that, although it took a long time, that the Pope's apology can start to lead to some of these actions of reconciliation. If you go to Rabbi Laura, she's a good friend of the church, go to her website. She has very concisely and clearly, her website's called Sophia Street, like Wisdom Street. She outlines the church's roles and what each church has done, but she also gives this really helpful Jewish understanding of what an apology should entail. It's the work of philosopher Moses Maimonides, and I know all of you who think, all right, a list of 5 things, come on, it's not that simple, but you can just listen, hear me out. First, you recognize that you did wrong. Second, you feel bad about it so that you're motivated to reach out. You seek forgiveness from the relevant person or institution or peoples. You understand what repatriation they need, and then you make it directly to them. And number 5, you don't repeat the harm. We're a long way from getting through all 5 steps as a society and certainly as churches. What are the ways that we need to be reoriented, that we need our blinders taken off, like that brother did when Jesus offered a parable that didn't directly answer the question, but instead said, ask different questions? How do we need to be reoriented so that we can live into a sense of conciliation with one another? And this stuff holds, folks, for our individual relationships, our communal relationships, and indeed these bigger picture relationships in society.